All right, thank you to the stacked press conference, like you stack on boxes, so it's kind of like a tip. I don't know what I'm saying, I'm sorry. But this is Britt McKillip. She's best known as the voice of Princess Cadence on My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. She's also been on Dead Like Me as Reggie, also has worked on Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Baby Looney Tunes, and she is one half of the award-winning duo One More Girl with her sister Carly. So I guess.
Well, that was a nice introduction.
Thank you. So I guess I'll kind of get things going here.
Sure.
What kind of attracted you to the role of Princess Cadence?
Well, this one's pretty easy because I have always I've wanted to play a princess since I was a little kid. That was always my thing. I was like the Disney kid, always wanted to be Princess Aurora or, Cinderella. And I think because of that, I probably worked on my princess voice a lot and I listened a lot.
Yes.
Had those movies on repeat. So I went in pretty prepared at that point. It was years in the making, that voice. So I was ready for it.
So how do you prepare yourself for that role? How do you get ready to voice the princess?
Well, I guess everybody's different, but for me, with voice work, I just keep practicing over and over and over and over again, and even specific lines. If I think there's a better way that I can say a certain line or with more emotion, I go over it and over it until I'm blue in the face, and so that you're just really prepared. You want to go in not second guessing. You don't want to go in anything but over the top prepared. So that's my motto, is just be prepared. So.
Okay, and then I want to switch to non-pony for a moment. I want to talk about your band, One More Girl. Talk about how that got formed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've been singing since I could talk, and I have a sister, Carly, who's a couple years older than me, and so we've both been singing and playing and writing songs since we were kids, and I think we always knew we wanted to be a singing group, and our parents didn't really take it seriously until we got a record deal, and then they were like, oh, okay, I guess you're serious about this. We were like, yeah. So we just, it kind of all happened at once. It was just a big whirlwind, and we wrote a lot of songs, and we recorded a lot of music, and we've slowed down a little bit growing up, and my sister just had a baby, so we're sort of taking it easy now, but we're still very much loving and playing music as much as we can, and hopefully we'll be recording something again soon as she's through that first little bit of being a new mother.
So you're kind of unique in a way that your sisters and that your music group like that. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to tour and be on the road and perform with your sister?
I always say, and it's no offense to solo artists, if anything, it's like, I admire solo artists for being able to do what they do, because I could not do all of that without having my sister there. And I guess, it's like what you're used to, and I'm used to having my sidekick, and she's my very best friend, and we talk every single day, all day, over text or whatever, and it's incredible. I'm very blessed to have been able to tour with my sister. Like, not very many people get to say that, so yeah, I'm very lucky.
All right, so I'll turn it over to you guys first off.
Creber from Constars. I know you're also the singing voice for sorry, I'm also sleep deprived.
That's okay. We're in the same
When I spoke with Daniel Ingram before, he said that you were actually feeling a bit timid about doing This Day aria, especially that Oh Shining Arm will be there very soon.
Oh yes.
What was so timid about it, and how did you overcome that?
Well, it's a very rangy song for a singer, so I was very nervous. That was another one where I just sang it over and over and over again in my car before going in. I think people were like walking past my parked car, like, what is she doing? I was just like belting it in my car. But yeah, he's right about that. I was very intimidated and nervous, and obviously Daniel's super talented, incredible, and I really just wanted to do the song justice. So hopefully
I'd say you
did a
did.
decent job.
Everyone I've
I
spoken to
tried.
said that song rivals Disney.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I agree. I think it's an incredible song. There's so much depth, and it doesn't ever just stay in one place.
Nope.
It's going somewhere all the time.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun to sing, and it's a lot of fun to go back and forth like that.
Mhm.
It was like my opportunity to be Broadway, so I had a lot of fun.
My name is Lifty. I'm with Brony Frequency, twitter.com @BronyFrequency, and I'm just curious, were you a fan of prior generations of My Little Pony before you landed the?
I wasn't. I have to be honest. No, when I came into it, I was a total newcomer to the whole world, and everything that followed was so unexpected. I did not see this coming at all, and it turns out to be the best group of fans there are out there, and I'm so lucky that I was introduced to this world and this community. I feel very lucky to be a part of it. So.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that your sister just had a baby.
Yeah.
Are you kind of bringing or introducing her new child to My Little Pony?
Well, he's only a month old at this point, so
okay.
probably a bit early. But no, I have some storybooks at home and that were given to me, and I can't wait until he's old enough to enjoy them, and I'm gonna read them to him. And oh, I miss him so much right now.
So let me ask you a question about the fandom itself. When you took on the role of Cadence, were you aware of the Brony fandom? When you
No.
found, so what was your first impressions of it?
I mean, I had no idea it even existed, and then I did my first convention, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just showed up and I was sort of blind, and it was incredible. There just the level of acceptance and kindness, and just everybody's so welcoming. You never feel, I mean, I'm a nervous person. I'm pretty anxious, especially with lots of people, and it's great to be welcomed like that with open arms, and you don't feel so scared because you're in a group of literally the nicest people there are. So
it kind of felt overwhelming at first.
it was incredibly overwhelming.
So, sorry.
That's okay. We started, but come on in.
Oh my gosh.
Michelle Creber, she's best known as the voice of Apple Bloom on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, singing and speaking. Other roles include Lucy in Peanuts, Alice in Martha Speaks, and Wendy in The New Adventures of Peter Pan. To her immediate right is Black Griffin, or Gabriel Brown, one of the two. Multi-talented performer. He voiced Becky the Loon in Finding Dory. Singing credits include songs from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 5, Friendship Games, and The Sounds of Harmony CD, as well as performing on Littlest Pet Shop. And together, Gabriel and Michelle perform together, and they have 3 duo albums, At Home, Tribute, and Getting Stronger. So, if you guys have questions for now all 3 of them, fire away.
Okay. Good to see you guys again.
Yes.
I don't think I even need to introduce myself at this point. But I have heard your music, very good material, very good content. But coming from my personal background, have you guys ever thought about doing a rock and roll song?
See, that's a good question. I love rock and roll, and my brother and I just we tried to do some like sound-alike stuff to try and see how like our followers would respond to that kind of music, and we did a Journey-esque like power ballad type rock thing.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was awesome, but it barely got any views. So I know it's messed up. People don't know the classics, man. Anyway, so
Should I put in Crazy Train for them? Maybe I'll do something.
A lot of impressions there, 60 million
Yeah.
impressions, and then Journey.
yeah. So what we're gonna try to do, just to fulfill like our desire to do some rock and some other genres that we enjoy. We've been doing the genre switching challenge, where we basically just produce in different genres that we wanted to work in that people might not listen to otherwise. So that's kind of how that's been Nate and me and Nate's outlet.
All right, yeah. Anyone else, or am I still going?
Have at.
Okay. I also know that, I was actually asking her this before I was that sleep deprived, but this was actually for you. I know you were also the singing voice for Sweetie Belle at one point. How do you train yourself to sing for a different character?
Yeah, so in that case, it wasn't too difficult because Claire Corlett, I've known her for a very, very, very long time. And especially when we were younger, we had extremely similar voices.
Oh, really?
So in that context, it worked out perfectly because my natural sort of high, softer voice really did just sound naturally like Claire. But yeah, we had a whole panel about this earlier, actually, singing in your character voice. And with songs, it's difficult because you have the restriction of melody and pacing, two important things that usually define characters when they're just talking, right? You have that freedom. So it's a matter of making sure you're focusing on details of like, where is your sound, back of your throat, front of your throat, like just finding the little details that can differentiate characters.
Yeah, I think Peter knew actually went over this with me when I had a private coaching with him.
Yeah, oh, Peter's one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely good.
Hi, Lifty, Furry Frequencies, twitter.com @furryfrequencies. Now, you two have certainly found your niche here at BronyCon and other pony conventions, of course. But have you also considered performing and appearing at other genre conventions like gaming conventions, furry conventions, anime conventions, etc.?
Yeah, well, I mean, Gabe and I do a lot of performances outside of conventions, but conventions are really fun too because you get that cool mixture of, panels and Q&As and all that fun stuff and getting to talk to people one-on-one, which you usually don't necessarily have as much time to do on like one-off performances or even just concerts, right? One evening. Yeah, if there's other fandoms and there's a couple other projects that him and I have coming up together that could lead to that kind of thing. So we love performing anywhere.
Yes, and the truth is, what a lot of people don't know is
Yeah.
we're basically open to performing anywhere. Really, it just comes down to people requesting. Like, do you like inviting us basically? And I don't know that multi-genre cons at this point even know that we're available to be booked, and so that's something that I am looking into. I don't know if you've looked into multi-genre cons, but something I'd like to do, like moving forward, definitely.
Awesome.
Still, we're talking about songs. I want to ask Britt a quick question. People love the song This Day Aria. Can you talk about the process of what you went through in performing for that song?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I was saying before, I just rehearsed over and over and over again in my car because obviously that song is very rangy, and it was intimidating for sure. So just preparing, just being really prepared when you go in and warming up your voice is a very important part. Yeah, I just thought, when I was singing that song, I just thought, okay, Broadway, Broadway, Broadway. Just, sing with that in mind, and hopefully it worked. I think it did.
I think it definitely did.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I actually did research and came prepared.
Prepared.
Okay, this is actually something I'd like to ask anybody who's in your line of work. Is there a role you wish you were more known for besides all this?
I mean, we all have roles that stand out to different people, and yeah, I mean, it's up to the individual, like what they're into, and
Well, it's also what's meaningful to us. And
Yeah.
it's all that stuff.
yeah.
Hmm.
When people come up and talk about our music, I think all three of us, that's something really personal to us because we've created that from scratch. So that's probably, I don't know, I think you guys would have the same answer. That's probably like the most
100%.
meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Well, anything
Well,
that
that's you.
Right, that we
Yeah.
put ourselves into, and it is harder to self-promote, especially because, most of the stuff that we act in professionally has a whole team behind it, pushing it, advertising it, so people know about that when we do our individual stuff. Unless we're signed to like record labels, it's harder to get that stuff recognized for sure.
Okay,
But,
makes sense.
I have a follow-up for Britt. This is regarding the This Day Aria. What was your initial reaction to the Gilbert Gottfried rendition of this Day Aria?
I didn't even know about that until
Oh my
like.
goodness.
Oh yeah, voice up Yago, somebody was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I found
So
out
funny.
about that a couple of days ago, actually. I haven't seen it or heard it.
He doesn't even sing it, he just basically just talks it.
That's what I heard, it just talks it, right? That's pretty cool.
Okay, I guess I'll go again. Unless you're something.
No.
Okay, obviously, we're all still kind of in the dark about G5 and what's going to happen with Pony moving forward, but if G5 does in fact happen, would you guys be willing to come back for it?
Sure. Yeah. I'm honestly, I love doing all kinds of different projects. I'm such a gung-ho person that I'm pretty much down for anything, and My Little Pony means a lot to a lot of people, and it's been a big part of our lives, and so I'd be happy to come back for something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope I would want to do more in it than just sing some background parts.
Hey, at least you got to be in it.
That's true.
You know how many of us here would love to be in it? We're the same as you.
Sorry, what's
Oh,
Would you like to come back?
There's another generation of My Little Pony starting in 2020. Totally
Oh,
new cast, new characters.
okay, I was like
Yeah.
so
Generation
sorry.
fun.
I'm so sorry.
It's fun.
I mean, yeah, obviously I would be very interested in that. I'm sorry.
Now, see, I'm not the only one who's
I know
sleeping.
It's been a
nothing.
long
I
4
know
days.
nothing. I'm not current. I'm yeah.
So this is a question for Michelle.
Yeah.
Obviously, your involvement with Friendship is Magic spanned 9 years. And in that time, have you ever had any challenges regarding maintaining a consistent voice throughout those 9 years for the same character?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot actually.
Oh.
I think, well, no, it's a good question. That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Mhm.
I think that definitely Claire and Maddie and I had a couple years there where we had to focus on maintaining that youthful sound. Everybody goes through puberty, and it's definitely harder for boys.
Andrea did.
It's Andrea, except for Andrea Lipman, but you know what?
I'm the exception to the rule.
I think she's done pretty okay with that. Although, that being said, I am a girl, but my voice did drop significantly. When I was younger, I sounded like a little mouse. Like, even my singing voice, I was pretty high up in my register, and I dropped quite low. So, yeah, there was an adjustment period with all the characters that I had to keep going consistently. And because it's kind of a different universe, they weren't super allowed to grow up in the same linear way that us humans do. So it was just a matter of like putting a little bit of extra effort in thinking about how to say the lines before the session, just making sure we're being professional and prepared.
By the way, non-linear grown-ups would be a great name for a rock band.
Yeah. I love that you thought.
I can actually.
That's awesome.
Well, technically it already happened. It's called Kids Pop.
So here's a question I wanted to ask all three of you. I think you all have different perspectives on this, and this is what I was trying to get to you before they came in. Can you talk about how you first got introduced to the Brony fandom and how your viewpoint of it has evolved in the 9 years? I know you have a different perspective on it, Kate, because you originally started as one, and now you're up here. So if all three of you could just talk about that experience from when you first discovered it to how you see it now.
Well, like I said before, I had no idea what it was until my very first convention, and I showed up kind of just not knowing what to expect, and obviously very welcoming group of people, kindest people in the world, and you instantly feel at home and like you've made all these new friends. It sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. Everybody makes you feel like you're a friend, and I'm, like I said before, I'm a bit of an anxious person in big groups of people, so it's one of those rare exceptions where I feel at ease. So yeah, I'm overwhelmed by the Bronies. They're great. They're great people.
That's awesome.
I can't top that.
Yeah.
I actually weirdly didn't know really what to expect either. I started watching like clips of the show when I was in the military because it was funny and life wasn't. So, you know, it was something that was innocent and sweet and colorful and pretty, and I would watch it and I'd be on long deployments on my iPhone laying in my rack, and the ceiling's right here, so I just put my iPhone up there. And I thought the fandom was fun and funny and unique and interesting, and then I got invited to my first convention, BronyCon 2013. I flew from Australia, and same, came to the convention not really knowing what other kind of people would be into the experience. All this was like, whoa. So yeah, it is.
Yeah. I remember hearing murmurs about a broader fan base than everybody had expected. Beginning of season 2 when we were recording it, and a couple people like Jason I think mentioned it to a couple people in between an episode recording, and I didn't really think much of it. And then I received a letter. I think it was an email or a PO box or something. And it was this great letter talking about how they loved My Little Pony season 1 and they looked absolutely related to them and they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do in life. And I was expecting I don't know, maybe like a 6-year-old girl, just the demographic Lauren and everybody else expected. And it said, Tim, a 16-year-old boy from blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. Yeah, okay, sure. And then another one, and then we started talking more about it at the sessions, and I was like, okay. I mean, I'm a really open-minded and accepting person, so it was never, this is weird. That's never my first reaction to anything. I want to understand. And so, and Mom, of course, I was very young at the time, and so we kind of explored this path together to just figure out, what was intriguing about this show for people and why they became interested in it. So it was a really cool experience to meet all these people and get familiar with that. Shoichet.
Thank you.
It's pronounced Shoichet.
Best known as Sunset Shimmer, singing voice of Twilight, also his voice Night Glider in Sugar Bell. Fire away.
I'm still getting ready. Yes.
Good question.
I'll start off with a question for Rebecca. What was your initial thoughts to the episode where, wait, hold on. Sorry.
I'll start with a question. I kind of asked the other three earlier before you came in. Talk about what your first experience with the Brony fandom was like and how that has evolved in the time that you've been with the show.
Well, my first experience was, first of all, when I heard about it, I was like, really? I didn't quite understand why there would be an adult fandom for a kids show. And so I was surprised. But then when I started I got invited to a convention. Actually, the first time I went was for the opening of Equestria Girls. I'm still out of breath from running up 3 flights of stairs. So I was invited to see the opening of Equestria Girls down in Los Angeles, and I knew that there was already a huge fandom, but I was worried because I wasn't sure how the fandom was going to receive human versions of the ponies. It was a real shift. It was a real change. And so I went down, and Daniel and I did a little set at the Los Angeles Music Festival. And my first experience of Bronies was that of positivity, encouragement. There was cheering in the audience. There was laughter through the movie. You don't usually go to movies where people will openly clap and cheer throughout a movie even before the end, and then at the end there was big applause. And so it was all the people came out to see the little acoustic show we did. Everybody was so kind. And then what I've realized too is over the years these relationships have developed. I've seen a lot of friendships blossom. I've seen proposals happen at conventions, and in general, my experience has been that of great positivity and an expansion of the values of the show, which is that friendship is magic, and there's diversity, and we can support each other, and that bullying is not okay. And so all these wonderful values are being taken out into the world, and it's really beautiful. Yeah.
So, yes.
All right. Been trying to get you to answer this question. I already asked her. I also know that you're the singing voice for Twilight. How do you train yourself to sing for a different character?
Well, I've said this before in other interviews, but when I first sang the part, they really just wanted me to sing like sort of a youthful pop version of my own voice. So if they didn't ask me to sound like anybody. In fact, I don't think I had any sound frame of reference of what Tara's voicing of the character sounded like. So so I was lucky that my voice print kind of matched hers, or the people who were in charge thought that way. So so I just sort of fell into that role, luckily. And then since then, I keep my ear to what she's doing and how she characterizes things, because she's a fun, quirky character, and I have to incorporate some of that and layer that into my performance. But for the most part, they're just sound like yourself.
Regarding Sunset Shimmer, were you able to relate or find relations with Sunset Shimmer and the Equestria Girls universe with your childhood and your adolescence in that time period in your life?
Well, I think going through high school, I probably experienced some form of bullying one way or another. I mean, we all come up against people who could be mean, and so we also all have dark inside ourselves as well. So I had to draw from that to be the bully and to be mean. Actually, I'm just mean. It's true. Right. So yeah, that was challenging. We've all experienced what it feels like to have been oppressed by somebody. You know, by the time you've gotten through high school, you know what it feels like to feel like an outsider, and to be given the role of Sunset Shimmer was a real gift, because she has such a huge arc over the show. She, besides the fact that she turns into a frothing demon at the end of Equestria Girls, she also then continued on to have this growth from being dropped down to ground zero and total rock bottom, and having to rebuild herself from a whole other place, which involved love and support, which she'd never experienced before. So that was a really cool journey. It was challenging as an actor, really challenging to act all that was offered to me, but it was great.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we got time for one more question if anyone has one, or I got one.
If you'd rather go be my guest, I've been asking all the questions.
Can you talk about how you feel about the journey of how Sunset has developed from that first movie to, I guess, what is now the end of Equestria Girls?
Well, I believe, you know, as it's interesting because they developed their superpowers with the geodes, and it's really fascinating that she becomes the empath, because she had been so volatile at the very beginning. And then you realize that maybe the reason why she was so mean was because she was covering up being so sensitive. And I love that she becomes a teacher by the end of it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, so I want to thank Rebecca, Britt, Gabe, and Michelle for taking some time out today to talk to us and give a little insight to their characters and such. So, and I guess thank you guys for coming to the final ever press conference of BronyCon. So, it has been an honor.
It's been,
Thank you.
I've been going to Brony.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of new videos uploaded to this channel.